You're listening to Conversations with ClubRight, the podcast where we delve into what it's like owning a business in the fitness industry and offer practical insight to help you grow and thrive. It's been a challenging few years for us all, so join us every Tuesday for new episodes where we talk about everything from member retention in the economic climate we're currently in to building a long-term growth strategy for your club, as well as stories of when I ran my gym. So, I'm your host, Wayne Heath. Looking forward to getting into this episode. So, welcome back to episode 7 of Conversation with ClubRight. Cannot actually believe that we're in 2024. I haven't really even made the mistake of typing 2023. I've actually consistently done 24. So I'm actually in the right place. I'm in the right year. So that's all good news. But I really wanted to kind of look on this particular episode about 24, new year, new start. You know, we've got all of these new intentions. But if the truth were known, getting January off to a good start is really key. And it's all about process. And that's kind of what has given me a reason to talk about my experiences in process, how that process can improve your business, measuring that process, and how you might actually think about changing it and measuring it. And if the process is broken, review it, measure it, and change it. All those kind of things that maybe we don't necessarily take as much time out to think about. In the early days, I know the gym's going to be busy. You've got members coming back after Christmas wanting to lose some weight. You've also got new members joining to try and start off their 2024 New Year's resolution. So it will be busy, but hopefully a few of these anecdotes here will give you a little bit of an idea of what we can do next. So in this episode, we are going to be talking about member acquisition. So what does that mean? Does it mean acquiring a new lead? Yes, it does. Getting new opportunities to talk to show them around your gym. It's all about getting together new opportunities and new people to speak to. So new acquisition is what we're going to talk about. And there's 4 steps in that process that I've worked on for a number of years and had good success out of them. So I'd like to share that with you. So step 1 in the 4-step process. So step 1 is, what is your USP? So it's a number of letters that are banded around an awful lot. USP, what's that really mean? It's a unique selling point. What does a unique selling point really mean? What differentiates your business from another business? So, for example, you know, you've got a gym and there's another gym just down the road. So your gym is doing something that is very different to the other gym. You most probably haven't looked at it just yet, and maybe haven't looked enough depth to find out why you're different. You might just both think, well, our price is the point of difference. That may be. You both got treadmills, for example. But what is the real difference? What's the USP, the selling points that are unique to your business that means that you can differentiate so that when a customer comes to see you, so you've got this new lead, this is what we're talking about today, is lead generation, acquisition of members. What makes that person feel really engaged with you from the get-go? From the minute they walk into your club, what makes them realize that for them, they've arrived at the right place? So that's kind of what I want to talk about in the first point. So, you know, what is your product offering? That's one thing to take a really close look at. It's not all about price. And I'm going to talk about price a fair bit because it does tend to be the thing that we all focus on. We all fascinate on price. But it's not about being the lowest price. It's being good value. That's for sure. You need something that's good value. People will typically pay more if they feel it's good value. They'll typically pay more if it resonates with something that they feel comfortable to go to. So especially, we're talking about 2024 New Year's resolutions. Think about the person that's coming through your door right now. So defining why that person has most probably made the same decision every year for the last 10 years, but actually, for whatever reason, never joined, never did it, never made that big move. So it's trying to work out what your unique selling point is to attract the right people. The right people for your business will enjoy it. They'll actually tell loads of their friends about it because hopefully they'll be like-minded as well. But it's the product offering you're offering is unique to them. It's not all about trying to be everything to every person because we've got lots of different types of gyms out there. We've got the 24 hours gym, we've got the budget gyms, we've got gyms that are dedicated to being those small group circuits. We've got gyms that are bodybuilding gyms, maybe more so. We've got gyms that have got more like a leisure centre with a swimming pool. There's all different reasons why someone will want to join your business, but it's understanding what those reasons are and sticking to it. Because if you understand what your USP is, the USP then will be the driver behind having a solid pricing structure that supports that and the business investment going forward. So USP is a big one, and defining why your customer comes to you in the first place is really a great way of understanding how to generate leads. Because if you know the type of customer you want, and you know that because you've spoken, and I think we did touch this on a previous episode, where understanding who your customers are means that if you've got good advocates, i.e., they love your gym. Now, if they love your gym, you just need to find more people like those people that will equally like your gym, because guess what? They're the people you wanted. They'll also be loyal to you. They'll pay the value per month or annually, however you take your payments, of course, but they will enjoy the value of what that service is all about, because you've understood why your existing customers understand it. So I think from a USP point of view, if you're not sure about that, take time out to look at who your customers currently are, why some people absolutely love the place. There will always be some people that don't. There'll always be detractors in any business, that's not unusual. And that's also not a bad thing either, because if you've got a detractor or someone that's thinking about leaving your club or not happy, for example, you need to find out why. Maybe they're totally the wrong facility for them. They may need to go to a CrossFit facility and you are not a CrossFit facility. So therefore, they've changed. They want to do different things. There's nothing wrong in that. It's just that you need to find someone else to replace that person that would like your services. So understanding what the product they're looking for is and why your current customers enjoy it will allow you then to sit there and go, okay, well, my USPs might be I've got 10 treadmills. Your USP might be I do lots of classes and people like my classes. Another USP could be that you're open between certain hours that allow people to come in during work time as well as after work. There can be all manner of different. I could go on for a very long time about what those unique selling points are, but understanding what those selling points are and what's unique about your business really is a very great positive way of looking for your next replacement customer and the next way of growing your business. So, step 2. Well, we've kind of identified, or hopefully we've identified by going through step 1, the unique selling points that you have of your business. And in so doing, it kind of brings you to finding the right customer. But then the next point is, where do those customers live? Where can you speak to those customers? Now, in the big digital world that we are now in, it's very easy to speak to people. It's very easy to get, I mean, it's a slightly different example, but you only need to look at music now. And that's one of my big passions outside what I do for a daily job, shall we say, to pay the mortgage. But if I look at music now, gone are the days where a band will be struggling to get a gig, having to make sure that when they get to the gig, the A&R man, which was the guy that or lady from the record companies that they're trying to sort of get involved and get in front of them so they can get a record deal, that's gone. You've got people that are making amazing music from their bedrooms, on a laptop, on a tablet, garage bands. It's just so many things you hear you don't realize are very easily done. So the reason I'm saying that is that if you look at how easy it is from a music point of view to be noticed and get out there, think about from a digital marketing point of view, how easy, once you've worked out what you are and what your business is and what your message is, how easy it is to get that message out. But then you've got to work out where do those people hang out? As I kind of alluded to a little bit earlier, because you've got if you've got a gym that typically has an age group that's maybe older and doesn't use TikTok, well, what's the point in putting a whole load of marketing on TikTok? Complete waste of time. Having said that, if you've got a Gen Z audience that's very keen on using TikTok, well, that's exactly the right place to be. And it's kind of looking for where the right place to do is, but then you're talking about the measurement of it. You're talking about the different platforms that are available to you. And there's numerous. You could be searching Facebook, you'd be searching TikTok, you can be going on to Instagram, we can go on to X. Still can't get quite my head around the change of that name, but hey ho, well done, Elon. But it's a crazy one. But you've got these different platforms. There will often be a cost associated with them. And that cost can be actually very affordable if you kind of become quite strategic with it, and you can, using the different platforms, there's ways and tools that allow you to find better the audience you're looking for, even, dare I say it, down to gender and age groups. You can start to hone it down to find the people that you might be wanting to market to. And of course, having the right platform, understanding who the customer you're looking for is, means that you're really much further down the road of actually having a chance to speak to them. And I think at this point, it's also worth mentioning is that there's a thing called marketing mix. And marketing mix is one of those things that I never quite got my head around many years ago. But when I realized how important it was, it's not the one single thing you do. So in this episode, I can honestly say to you, there's not one single silver bullet in here that's going to change the world. There's not, because it's not the one thing you do. It's all of the things you do. That's what marketing mix is about. So, for example, if I go back to our gym back in the day, we used to have adverts we put out in local newspapers. We used to have leaflets that we handed out in the high street or in the marketplace and places where we were nearby where the business was at the time. We also had a smart car. In fact, we had 3 smart cars over the years because we kept renewing the lease on it because it was so popular. And that was completely wrapped and sign written. But it's not the one thing we did. So I've got a classic example where the customer years ago said to me, well, I always used to ask what made them come in today, and to find out more about joining our business at the time. And this lady actually said, well, it wasn't just, it was your smart car. And I said, smart car? She said, yes. I was trying to read the telephone number on the back of it. And I'm thinking, right. I said, what car do you drive? And she said, I think it was a black Audi at the time. I can't remember, but certainly a black car anyway. And I said, oh. And I remember this car almost piling its way into the back of me on a roundabout, thinking, geez, how much closer do you want to get? But clearly now I know she was trying to get that telephone number. But when I said to her, that was the one thing that stood out, she also, in that conversation, told me that she'd seen the adverts in the newspaper several times. She'd actually gone to the effort of cutting them out. She also had received mailers through the front door. We didn't do many mailers, to be fair, but when we did we had some impact with them. But I had to then say, okay, out of those 3 things that I did in that mix, that marketing mix of activity, and it's all about activity, right? Which one really stood out? She said, I think it was the car. I said, well, it most probably was because you nearly went to the back of me. But the reality is that you don't know it's not the one silver bullet. There is absolutely no silver bullet in this world when it comes to marketing. It's all the things you do. By all means, measure it. And I think measuring it is really important, because if I look at measuring from a digital point of view, or another example, I remember we used to advertise in 2 different newspapers. Well, we actually believed, until we measured it, that both worked. Actually, we then realized that over a period of time, one was significantly better than the other. So we took the brave move of cutting the other one and thought, we're going to stop that. We're going to save the money and use that resource elsewhere and invest it into something else that we know better is working. But stop that one and see if it made any difference to the number of leads we got via the newspaper. And guess what? It didn't. And we saved quite a few £100s per month which we then invested in other marketing. So measuring is really important, but just going back to the target audience, who are you trying to target is first and foremost really important. When you know who you're trying to target, look at where those people live. And I'm just going to mention this now, and I'll mention it again in a minute, but this is a very big subject. To a point where actually it may well be, and I'll be very interested in people's feedback, for us to have an episode based on marketing strategy, just that subject alone, because there is an awful lot of things you can do, and we're never going to solve or give all the ideas in this one place now on step 2 here, but understanding what that digital marketplace is, what works, and that marketing mix. I can't emphasize how important that marketing mix is, because it really is not just the one thing you do, it's all the things you do that allow your business to be seen and noticed. I mean, I can very quickly summarize from a ClubRight point of view. What do? Well, we're in industry magazines. We are in expos. We go to expos. We go out into the real world. We do marketing from a Google Ads point of view. We do marketing from a Facebook point of view. We're also very active on LinkedIn. So there's 5 things I've mentioned there that we're active in, but we're regularly active. And that's the other thing is about all of these things is consistency. Do not think that I'm going to put an advert in the paper and the world's going to change, because that's your silver bullet again. It's not going to change. It's the consistent approach that you have. If your message is wrong over a 3-month period, that might need to be questioned, but most probably not necessarily the medium that you're using. So if you're going in with Facebook ads, and you can do it really affordably, I think it's a great example. Do it in an affordable way. Do not spend too much, but think about the message that you're putting out there and measure it. But don't measure it just for a week and think, that didn't work, or yeah, it was really good, because you'll never know in a week. In a couple of months, you may have an idea, and it always goes back to the analogy of, I remember someone saying to me years ago about surveys, a survey of 1 is not exactly a great survey, right? So having a period of time that allows you to see what works over a period of time gives you a good chance to actually evaluate what works and what doesn't. So now we've done step 1, step 2, let's now look at step 3. So step 3 is looking at the opportunity that's with you every day of the week. Your members are with you, using your facilities, enjoying your facilities. Referrals, that's the one I'd like to talk about here, because referrals are the customers that are really enjoying your business. They are potentially the people that can recommend other like-minded people, because the chances are they'll be friends with similar people that also like your business, on the basis they most probably got similar interests because they are friends, potentially. It's not 100%, but that is a very good likelihood. So when it comes to referrals, there's different ways of looking at it. I've heard lots of different analogies where, someone may go and see a latest new movie, and they'll be talking about that new movie for the next, 2-3 weeks, maybe a month at the most. But I'll guarantee people won't be recommending the latest movie that they've just recently seen beyond 2 or 3 weeks, because it's old news. It's all old news. It's all history. So absolutely, at the end of the day, it's all about making sure that you are looking at what's relevant. So in terms of referrals, make sure that we are looking at what's realistic. So how many times do we hear, well, if you get this referral book, I'm going to give you a checkbook, Mr. Customer, and that's got 5 referrals in it. And if you get 5 people, that's £500, because every person's going to be £100 referral. What a complete waste of time. Seriously, what a waste of time. You may get 1 or 2 people aspire to introduce 5 people to earn £500. The reality is it's not a smart target. People have heard about smart targets in the past, and you are setting your member a potentially unachievable objective. So if we look at it and go, right, okay, for example, average club's got 250, say 300 members. If your objective, which is a smart objective, is to get every one of your 300 members to recommend at least 1 member, guess what? You've doubled your membership in one easy win. Now, I know that's not going to happen. It's not realistic that everyone's going to do it. But if you think about recommending one referral or one person to join a club, is far more likely to happen than asking them to create five, because it's just not going to happen. People will find it unachievable, and some people, because they are good at that kind of thing and enjoy helping you, there will be one or two people that will give you more than one referral. Guaranteed. That happens all the time. We have customers ourselves all of the time giving us referrals, but our aspiration has always been, if every customer can at least recommend one, that's got to be good news. And that's an achievable target. So think about your mission of what you're trying to do, because I think sometimes referrals can be perceived as not working because we set ourselves a ridiculous goal in the first place. Now, we get a whole load of printed checkbooks, for example. I can't even think the last time I wrote a check, for God's sake. But anyway, you think about that. But if you imagine the checkbook scenario with £500 vouchers in it that you've spent ages designing, then got printed at great expense, then got them sent all out, and then you got two people out of all your membership actually bothers doing anything with it. Waste of time, complete waste of time. So it can be done very affordably. I mean, I'm going to, forgive me for mentioning it, but ClubRight has a fantastic referral scheme. Makes it very easy to offer different types of referrals. And you could offer a monetary referral. You could offer a referral based on points that allows them to buy something in the club for a value of points, but it's actually cheaper for you to buy. So, for example, you could give someone points each month that gets every time that other member stays with the club, which they were recommended, and that gives them, I don't know, 1,000 points, for example, and they can spend those 1,000 points in the club on protein shakes. Protein shake, for example, would cost you far less than the £3.50 or whatever your charge might be for that protein shake. But the intrinsic value to the customer spending those points is, I've just got a £3.50 protein shake for nothing, which makes them feel really good. And I'm not saying it's necessarily gamification, but points do make prizes and people enjoy that. If you wanted to give away money, one member joins, they get £1 off. The other member who recommended them gets £1 off. And if, for example, the member who was recommended then leaves, the person who's recommended them, their membership goes back up by £1. All of that, I hasten to add, can be done within ClubRight, because at the end of the day, it makes it very easy for you to put in referrals that are monetary or with e-points. But recommending and finding out referrals easily is done by having a campaign. But one of the most successful one we had, and I have mentioned in previous podcasts, is the T-shirt thing, right? It's always about what you can't have. Customers, people generally desire things they can't necessarily have easily. So to give you an example, in our club many years ago, we had different colors of T-shirts, green, white, yellow, all different types of colors. But the black one was only available to people who made a referral. Now, the bit about that was it made it desirable. The black one actually most probably out of all the colours looked the best anyway. Always the most slimming colour, hence why I wear black. But, the reality is that the black one looked the more desirable one, and even more desirable because you couldn't buy it. No one could buy the black one. So, of course, everyone knew that. And the recommendations that were made for those that walked into the gym with one of their black T-shirts on, every other member knew damn well how they got that black T-shirt because they recommended a friend. So it was simple. And it was very, very cost effective. I mean, and whilst, giving away money is, something that might inspire people, I've seen customers go, right, we're going to give a £25 Marks and Spencer voucher, for example. And then, £25 didn't work, let's make it 50 quid. Well, that didn't work, let's make it 100 quid. It's totally irrelevant. It's a waste of time. It's all about desirability and people feeling that they are part of something, because they actually most probably enjoyed recommending their friend anyway, because they're enjoying it. They're happy to recommend their friend, because you don't tell your friend about something or recommend someone to come and clean your windows, wash your car, fix the locks in the house. You don't recommend suppliers in your normal life unless you feel comfortable doing it. So they're most probably happy to do it and maybe not even expecting to get something back. So when you start putting monetary values in of large values of vouchers, don't really think it makes too much of a difference because they wanted to do it anyway. But actually getting something that's unique and different that lets them stand out within the club every time they come down, I think is a great one, and it worked exceptionally well for us, and really, really enjoyed getting good referrals on the back of a process that was simple and easy. So the rule of the thumb is make a target that's realistic. Just go for one person. Every new member that joins, if they recommend another one of their friends and make it part of your joining process, when that new person joins, tell them about referrals. Tell them about the black t-shirt referral scheme. Tell them about all the things that are available when they join, because that's the best time to get them, because they'll actually want a gym buddy to come along with. And another thing to think about is that referrals are really strong for you because they're much easier to look after and get than a brand new lead. So recommendations and referrals, it's almost like the selling job to a small large extent has actually been done by the member who recommended them. So a much easier sale, and you'll have a much more, I reckon, a much happier member from the get-go. So final point is step 4. Step 4 is the systems, the processes, the sales funnel, and how you convert prospects into becoming a paying customer. Now, quite a big subject, but it can actually be dealt with really easily. And there's some real basic things to do. So you'll have leads coming in that can come in digitally via your website. And we can talk about how the sales funnel or a sales funnel can actually allow that person to be nurtured and take us through the process you want them to be. You can also have people that may be a walk-in, for example. A walk-in comes into the business or a telephone call. How bad would it be for someone to make an inquiry and no one in the team bothers to take a name, telephone number, and maybe an email address? Tantamount to blasphemy as far as I'm concerned, because you're never going to stand a chance of getting back to that customer. And if they physically walked in, I will guarantee the biggest decision they've made was to walk over that threshold that day, because the chances are they've been looking at walking over that threshold for the last 5 years in January of every year. Yeah, every time that comes around. So if we think about that reception, they may not want to have a look around straight away, but making sure you get their details, some real basic stuff. You cannot get a name and number and an email address potentially. Don't bother getting down to the actual address and where they live and the postcodes. It's not really relevant, to be fair. Getting those basic information is really important at the beginning, and that's from a walk-in point of view, or even a telephone call. That's a real important point. You will also have leads coming in from your website or leads coming off the back of your Facebook marketing campaign, for example, or TikTok, that will have an inquiry page which allows them to put in their details, which could equally be an address as well. But yet again, I'll come back to the point of, is there any real value in getting someone's full address details when they make an inquiry? I would actually say not. Less is more in this instance specifically, because if you ask for their name and ask for a telephone number and maybe an email address, stop there. Don't bother asking a whole myriad of questions, because what people know is when you ask lots of questions, it sometimes comes across as an interrogation or a lengthy form they absolutely cannot be bothered to fill in, and just don't fill in, and then you've lost the inquiry anyway. So try and make it as small as possible. Don't be hung up on lots of information and finding out why they want to join and this, that. Find all that about when you actually meet them and when you actually speak to them. That's the relevant time to do that, because the initial lead is just that name, just a number, and potential email address. So that's really quite important. So that's how you would get your leads. I mean, that's when you've then got your leads, whether it be coming in via telephone call or face-to-face or coming in digitally. It's where do they all reside? Where do all those leads sit? How are you dealing with them? There's plenty of companies out there who will generate an awful lot of marketing leads for you. And I can tell you now, because we work with several of them, their biggest frustration is that all the leads they generated, a vast majority never got followed up. Now, that is just as blasphemy for me as actually not taking a name and number in the first place. But you imagine where a lead generation company, and there's plenty of them out there, and they all do some really good services. And if it suits your budget, there's nothing wrong in doing that. But don't sit there and take hundreds of leads in and not get back to them and then blame the agency for a failed sales process. That's your fault. Totally and utterly your fault. They generated the leads. The quality of their leads will be as good as they possibly can be. But if they don't go into a sales funnel or a process that allows you to take it across the different stages that you wish that customer to be, which could be an inquiry stage, they end up in a bucket. So you've got bucket one's inquiry, bucket two might be follow-up, bucket three might be, they're actually booked in for a visit to have a look around your facilities and see if they want to join. Bucket four could be, they came round, they didn't join. There's all different stages of that sales process, right? And you can make it as complex as you want to be. And yet again, no mention about what we do, but ClubRight has a fantastic sales funnel that you can customize to how you want it to be. And then you can customize within that different stages that you want communications to go out at. So even if you're not using ClubRight, let's be realistic about this. We'd love you to, of course, that's all what we're here for. But as a funnel, you've got a whole load of people in inquiry stage, the first stage. At that first stage, what types of automated communications can you send out to that customer? Is your process in your business to get that lead in, make a phone call, send an email, and then send regular contacts thereafter to ensure there's a process at which you keep them nurtured because they want to feel loved. No one makes an inquiry to feel unloved. How many times do you hear someone go, yeah, well, I rang up that company and no one ever came back to me? The single most frustrating thing about it all. Seldom do people actually ever say, for God's sake, I wish they'd stop ringing me up because they really do. Is anything wrong in that? If you made the inquiry, for me, you made a genuine interest in trying to find out about the services that I sell. So I am going to carry on contacting you until you tell me not to, because that's what you made inquiry to find out about my gym. So I'm going to carry on, not to say hounding you, but you're going to carry on trying to speak to them in a sensible, educated manner and have good communications back that try to nurture them into the reason why that original inquiry was a good idea. So having that different stage, and of course, in that funnel, you can then move people from one stage to the next. So it could well be inquiries come in, you've managed to pick up the phone. That person said, great news, I'll come down and see you on Saturday morning because I'm looking forward to finding out more about your gym. You've then made that appointment for Saturday morning. That person comes in, but they're in that funnel for arriving on Saturday. So that part of your funnel should be sending out communication to say, great news, looking forward to seeing you on Saturday at 10 o'clock. And that reassures them you've actually taken interest in the whole reason they're coming down to see you. And also affirms that hopefully they will turn up 10 o'clock on Saturday morning because you confirmed you'd like to see them. Now, it may well be, and that's all being well, that customer joins there and then, and they're out of the sales funnel. They're no longer a prospect. They become a member. But the next stage could be they came down and for whatever reason, it wasn't the right time or something wasn't quite right. The sale wasn't made. I'm not going to go into the detail about that, but let's assume the customer didn't actually physically join. So that customer didn't join. Well, what's the stage then? Well, we should have automation in that sales funnel to keep that customer nurtured because there will be a reason why, for whatever that might be, but then you can encourage them to find out why and maybe get them to come in and have a free trial, have a free go. I know you didn't want to join today, but hey, look, come in, have a free pass, have a go, tell me what you think. You've actually had that opportunity to touch and feel what this gym does. So that whole sales funnel and taking someone through a logical process that you can manage. 100 leads come in at the beginning. What happened at all different stages of that 100? And you will have people that are in the inquiry stage. There'll be people that did visit. There'll be people that didn't close. There'll be people that weren't interested at all and came out the other end and didn't join and went down the road to someone else. The most probably suited them better anyway. Maybe it was something that wasn't right for them, but don't take offense at that, because it just wasn't right for them. And that's the reason they wouldn't spend any money. So thinking about everything to do with channeling your customers in a way that makes sense from a prospect right the way through to a sale, but also accept maybe no sale as well. Because if it's not right for them, don't fascinate over it's about the pricing. We need to drop our pricing. We need to do this. We do that. You most probably found that for whatever reason, the unique selling points of your business, as you come back to step one here, the unique selling points of your business did not resonate with why that customer wanted to join your club. So don't take it personally. But to summarize, I think sales funnel, bringing leads in and understanding what stages they are, keeping good regular contact digitally as well as physically, i.e. picking up the phone, speak to people. There's nothing better than speaking to people. So many people want to just do everything digitally now. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy the digital side, but we go back to marketing mix again here, don't we? It's a bit of everything. It's not just one thing. And it may well be that that phone call actually was the bit that got them back in and got them actually to book a visit with you to have a look around in the first place. So thinking about all these 4 steps, everything has got real value, and taking time out to think about what stages are and what your business looks at, you may well find that step 1 is fine. You know where you are, your USP. Step 2, actually most probably need to take a closer dive and look at that. Step 3, really could do some referrals and get people going. Step 4, you might have a fantastic sales funnel already and it's really working well. But have a look at all those 4 steps. See how your current business setup is working for 2024. Really hope you enjoyed what we shared today. So if you're listening on Spotify, we've got a very interesting Q&A box in our show notes. So at the end of this episode, please take a look at that. If you've got any questions you'd like to put in for future shows and topics that you'd like us to cover, please fill in the questionnaire and let us know. So thanks so much for joining me today, and really looking forward to sharing with you episode 8 coming out soon. Thanks for listening. We really want to help as many business owners in the fitness industry as we can. So if you know someone who could also benefit from listening to our episodes, remember to share it with them. That's really important. I want to get that message out there. And if you're enjoying Conversations with ClubRight, hopefully you are, don't forget to leave us a 5-star review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.